Hello, Sharif here, and welcome to week six. No, actually, this is the end of week five. Um, this is when we talk about our positive future that's coming up. We're looking at last week. We looked at the first 50 years of our future, the not so good and the good. This week we're looking at 100 to 200 years. Not so good on Tuesday. Great today. Um, and as usual, we got another packed program here. Um, so as usual, we're going to get started by starting our timer for our meditation. Remember, our meditation isn't meditating on ourselves; it's meditating on this node of consciousness and seeing that reflected in every other living being on this planet. And if you're really strong, maybe beyond this planet. So I invite you to, first of all, I invite our candle to appear. And I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. And I invite you to, we're going to take 3 breaths together. And I don't know if you recognize that when we make an audible sound as we're releasing the breath, it releases energy in your body. It doesn't in mine, and I think it doesn't everybody else's. So breathe in and then out. Breathe in and then out. Breathe in and then out. Okay. If we come back to our center here and open your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. And let's begin. Um, I want to, we did a review of the past few weeks last session. And I heard from a few people saying that they appreciated the review. This is a lot of information that kind of gets packed in here, and I want to make sure that we're able to follow it. The our challenge is, how do we um, envision our future? Most of us are not envisioning a future, or we're envisioning a future that we don't want to live in. I urge us to rethink our process. Our society isn't dying; we're just in labor, and it'll take. Remember, I said it'll take as long as it takes. My upstairs neighbor, my relatively new upstairs neighbor, a couple who, up until a few days ago, she was pregnant and she had a baby and it was doing really well. Um, she was in labor for 48 hours, and I got tired just thinking about that. But yeah, if she could have done something about it, she'd have said, okay, let's pop this out now. But it takes us long. This society that we're birthing right now will take as long as it needs to take to birth. If we get in gear with this, then we're going to be able to birth this society faster, easier, with less stress and strain, etc. So I want to. I got to do all my like, subscribe, notifications. If you click on that, there's a better chance of other people seeing this than if you don't click on it. Okay, so it's your choice. We're talking about how do we how do we create a mature human civilization, recognizing that the way we've been doing humanity on our planet is at the very best in a larval stage, at the very best immature. We have to learn how to mature our society. We're not going to come across a mature civilization by accident, by just saying, oh, let's do everything that we've been doing. Let's pollute the earth. Let's bomb each other. Let's steal from each other. Let's continue to do all that. And then we're going to wind up in nirvana. No, it doesn't work that way. We're not going to come across a mature civilization by just wanting it, by just saying, I'm going to meditate. And I'm going to meditate, and I'll hold that we'll all be holding hands, and everyone will have enough food, and etc. It's not going to happen by hoping for the best, by just saying, "Oh well, if we just keep positive thinking, it'll happen." We've been doing the positive thinking thing for a long time. We've been doing the meditating for a long time. We need something else, and the something else that we need, I'm going to talk about today. I mentioned I was looking for a video that I still haven't found, and I'm going to have to reshoot the video once I get a willing victim subject. And so I'll tell you about the video that I shot before, and it has to do with finding the jugular, finding the point where things actually change. Now, uh, if you wanted to change something, let's say you want to kill somebody, what do? Well, you can get a gun and spray a whole bunch of bullets all around the house, and maybe one of them will hit him or her. You can punch them, but where do you punch? You can do something that won't hurt them at all, and it's very effective. And so I did when I did this video. I was doing a workshop at the time, and I asked for a volunteer, and my friend and long-term collaborator Brian Setzler volunteered. I sat him down and make sure he was in good shape, because this exercise is stressful. And like I said, I could punch him, I could hit him over the head with a baseball bat, etc. But all I did was put these two fingers right here at this point on his neck and pushed very gently, about as hard as I'm pushing right now. I can still talk. And kept a very close eye on my time. Okay. And I talked really fast because I didn't want to go over 45 seconds doing that. Because if you hold your finger there steady and you go over 45 seconds, that person will start feeling dizzy. In about a minute, they're going to start feeling really wobbly. In about a minute and a half, they won't feel anything at all because they'll pass out. And in about 3 minutes, they'll die. Now, the whole time I'm asking him, "Are you feeling okay?" He says, "Yeah, I feel okay. No strain. It's a little bit discomfort, but Um, uh, and I stopped in 30 seconds, and when I stopped and asked him if he was okay, he's okay. And when he went to get up, he got really wobbly. He's like, "Whoa, what just happened?" And even at 30 seconds, it has an effect on your body. Now, in our society, when we want to make a change, we're poking on the arm, we're poking on the shoulder, we're poking on somebody else's shoulder over there, and we're not recognizing how we actually make a change. I want us to be focused, and the things I talk about are, where are the pressure points in a society that makes change? We don't know them. If you remember, then the lead up to the second Iraq War, there were people in the United States that were petitioning the Pope, the Pope in Rome, that has nothing to do with the United States, to make statements to stop the Iraq War. That's like, pushing on my bookcase back there to hope to try to get someone to stop. You don't understand how the world works, and you'll try anything. You'll just push anything in order to try to make an effect. Now, the weird thing about that is I've been doing these courses and doing these events for a very long time, trying to get people to understand where those pressure points are, where our process is, and people don't come, and then they wonder why nothing works. Well, if you're waiting for the New York Times to announce that I'm doing this workshop, doing these live streams, doing this training, doing this course over here, you'll be waiting for a long time, because their job is not to make change. Their job is to try their very best to hold the caterpillar together, to make sure the butterfly doesn't happen. Our job is different, and that's what we have to recognize. So we've got something that that I've been working on, for years and years, and it has to do with the energy that it takes for us to become the society that we want, the mature human society. And I've been saying it takes three things, and you have to have all three things. And if you have them, that's great. And if you don't, you'll eventually figure out that it takes three things. And the three things that it takes, I call them the 3Ds. It takes discipline, it takes devotion, it takes direction. If you don't have the discipline, nothing changes. If you don't have the devotion, nothing changes. If you don't have the direction, nothing changes. I don't know if this person's still doing it, but some years ago, there's a guy in the Pacific Northwest that would show up to various protests and various rallies. And he would, before the rally, swallow paint, swallow dye. And he'd swallow it in three colors: red, white, and blue. And at a given point, he would agitate the police into arresting him. And when they go to arrest him, he would make himself vomit, throw up, and he throws up in red, white, and blue. And that was his mode of protest. Now, I'm not making a comment on the artistic value of his protest. I am saying, though, that is a lack of discipline. There's a lack of devotion. And I have no idea what his direction is. Okay. I can give you dozens of examples of that, of people who are doing what they feel like doing, and they may be very devoted to their individual particular action, but they're not devoted to the larger picture. And they don't even know what the larger picture is. The opposite of that are the actions that took place in America's civil rights movement, and in a lot of the movements that have taken place in Europe, in Africa, etc., where the people who were doing the protesting, the people who were doing the action, had to sign a statement that you're going to behave in an orderly way. You are going to dress in the best clothes that you've got. You're going to follow the directions of the protest leaders, etc. And before Martin Luther King did an action, all the people that were in those protests had to have a signed statement that they were committed to these 3Ds. Now, our challenge is, what are we committed to now? What are we committed to that is our protest, our discipline? A lot of us are committed to For example, um, uh, environmental issues. A lot of us are committed to social issues, but not the environmental ones. A lot of us are committed to political issues or financial change, transformation, but not the ecological ones, or not the, we're all over the place. The thing that Common Way provides, the thing I've been talking about for the past, let's say 4 decades or so, is an overview, the umbrella under which all of these other things can bride. And that umbrella is creating a world that works for all living beings. And that's as wide as I can make it. And that then lets us link together activities of an ecological, environmental, economic, political, social, etc. I think that a lot of us don't want to do that, that we don't want that kind of direction, because we're still locked in. We want to make the other person bad. We want them to be evil. We want to stop their action. And therefore, I don't have to examine my own behavior, and I don't have to examine my own action. And we don't have that luxury anymore. I think we never did, but that's something we can debate if you want to get in on the comments here. So let me get to that. Took a little bit more time than I thought. So let me get to something that I've called the coin of the realm. This is one of the two positive drawing energies that draw us into the new society, and that will get stronger and stronger over the next 100 to 200 years. So this is something that person that I knew, he's passed on now, Daniel Quinn, put in one of his books. And I don't remember which one. It was not Ishmael. And if you have not read Ishmael, you need to read Ishmael. And it also would be good to read some of the subsequent books too. And I think this concept of the coin of the realm is in one of the subsequent books, where he talks about how we behave. If we're the ones creating a new society, how do we behave? Now, if you are creating a new society because you want to make some money, guess what? There ain't no money in this. I'm trying to get it to the point where we can actually support ourselves, and we won't go broke, and we won't have to hold up cardboard signs on the street. But in terms of, this is the way you're going to make a killing in the market, etc., you can pretty much forget it. And even if that is your goal, you don't really have a goal. Making more money is kind of a boring goal. Now, and someone recently talked about me being hypocritical around this, because, well, you want money, you spend money, it's like, of course I want money, I spend money. The lights need to stay on here. If I don't, then these live streams are going to be very, very short. I like eating out once in a while. I like putting gas in my vehicle, and yes, it is a gas vehicle. The key, though, is I'm not driven by money. doesn't matter to me when somebody calls me up and says, "Can you speak to our group on such and such thing?" The last thing we talk about, that's not like, "Well, do you have money to hire me?" It's like, well, the last thing we talk about is, "Do you have money to hire me?" Because that way I can put more gas in the car. If not, then let's figure out how we do this without the money. Um, so if we're not motivated by money, what are the top non-monetary values that motivate us? So when I was teaching at Portland State, I asked a number of my classes that question. What makes you act? And what makes you act in such a way that's not about money? And so I had a number of students who answered the question, and this is what they came up with. Um, they talked about things like greater time, better quality of life, a sense of aliveness, a sense of meaning, identity, um, love, a sense of authenticity, something that is attractive to them, et cetera, et cetera. And I've recently gone through that list and I started thinking about it in terms of um, what what parts of this would you achieve in a holonic society if you were in a holonic community? And so the ones in yellow are the ones that I identify as being things that give you a um, greater than our breaker society would give you greater meaning, greater identity, greater sense of belongingness. If you are in a hive mind, you definitely belong. You're definitely in a more secure, more community, and you would have greater security. Um, so these are things that get us closer to um, our goal of a holonic society, a holonic community. Um, and yeah, one of the things I've always said is you can argue about anything that's on this list. You can say, well, transcendence would be something you get from the holonic community. I would argue with that. I would argue for that. One of the things that showed up was number 13, juiciness. And someone said, I can't describe it, but I know it when I see it. When you're in relationship with people and it just feels juicy, it feels real, it feels meaningful, and you don't have words for it. And that means that you're on the right track. Okay. So one other thing that I that I see as being um, very important in our um, near future is what I call the magnet. Now, the magnet is the thing that pulls you almost like by invisible threads. It pulls you towards a conclusion. It pulls you towards an action. It pulls you towards a condition. Um, we know, oh, okay. So it can pull you toward it, or it also can push you away from it. And you've all played with magnets and you put the two north ends together and you've got this, you feel this invisible repulsive force. You put the north and south ends together and you feel this connecting, drawing together force. And We know in our society what that feels like. We know what the old magnets feel like. We know what like one of the main magnets in the old authority is the old society is the magnet of authority. Now that authority may have come from civil authority, the government, etc. It may come from the military, and that can be both positive and negative. Um, it could have been the church or the church substitute from your community of um, the benefits that came from the church, the prescriptions that came from the church, etc. Um, one of the largest magnets that we have had in the old society, our old magnets, is money. Um, I remember at election time in back when I was in Camden, the politicians would come around and they would go to the so-called community leaders and just start throwing cash around. And the minister of this church gets a couple $100, and the politicians say, "Oh, this is for a new roof for your church." Church never gets a new roof. This is for your widows and orphans fund. No, the widows and orphans still need a fund, but the minister has a new car now. And that was and just acting from money was the thing that would compel your action. Now we're not there anymore, and we just went through how that is playing out right now. So what we need are new magnets. The list I just gave you is one way of looking at the new magnets. One of the things that happened in the 60s, and I think that all of us who have enough gray hair right now, or no hair at all right now, have recognized this, that those of us who were in the grips of societal change were having a lot more fun than everybody else. And we couldn't really define it, but our music was better, our food was more interesting, our clothing was what we made up on the spot sometimes. We had better personal relationships, we had better sexual relationships. We were protesting a lot, but we were also having a ball. And I haven't been seeing that in this iteration of our societal change yet. I think that it will be coming, and I think it will come the way it came last time, with all of a sudden people are experimenting with new and positive elements of our culture. I remember being young. I was young at one time. I remember being young, and I remember being down in Virginia visiting my cousins, and we were there. There were a few white radio stations. I mean, really white radio. This is back in the 60s. There were really white radio stations. And there were a few black radio stations. And I remember turning back and forth between the two. Four Tops are also on one station. And we're like, this is really cool. And then you turn to the white station, and then there's a Rolling Stones are on that station. And that's really cool. And it took a while for the radio stations to recognize that, wait, we're in this crossover mode right now. Okay. Now, Um, I've you've heard me say been very clear. I don't like rap music. I don't even consider it music. I think a steady beat of negative energy can only affect you negatively. And talking about how bad the cops are and how bad the drugs are and how bad the community is, I don't care what beat is behind it, that what's going to happen is that your positive energy level, your positive energy will go down. I don't think that that's an accident. I think that there are people who believe that they benefit from your energy going down. And it's going to happen next month or next year or the next few years, not too much longer than that. People who get out there and say, wait a minute, we've been doing this negative energy thing for 40 years. I think it's time for us just to stop and experiment with something else. And that something else energy may not make money for you, but it may uplift the human spirit so that it becomes a new outpouring of energy. We can do that. I've been on the lookout for that. I've been looking for those sparks. And for those of us who were in that back in that energy field, we know who those sparks were. You know, we know when I say the word Motown, you know what I mean. When I say the word Beatles, you know what I mean. That there was this. Um, I'm dating myself. But I remember I was watching the Ed Sullivan show when they had these long haired guys called the Beatles singing, and you couldn't hear a thing because everybody in the audience was screaming at the time. Now, they weren't screaming about the music so much because they couldn't hear it. They were screaming because there was this outpouring of energy. And the outpouring of that energy was electric and sustainable. And we went through all sorts of actors, all sorts of creative energies, and we as a society benefited from that. Well, all that's now been relegated to the grocery store. So I'm going through the grocery store and I'm buying my stuff, and on the loudspeaker system, there's Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. So while I'm buying my yogurt, but there'll be a new birthing, a new outpouring of that. And this one will be sustained and sustainable. More about that next week. I am. I don't remember if I talked about. Yes, there will be another live stream in May. Next week is the last one for this iteration, and the new one, I think, is going to be about the chronicles of the upheavals and the chronicles of the awakening. If you want it about something else, you can send a comment right here into the live stream, or you can send a comment directly to me at mail@commonway.org. And I'll get it and I'll see what it is that we want to spend some more time on. And we'll do that. Okay. We may have to come back to these these points again. I'm going to go through and see if I've covered everything. I've covered everything for right now. Um, we are going to connect with each other and connect with all living beings by doing our inclusivity mantra. First, we focus on ourselves. Second, we focus on the other and each other. Third, we focus on those of us who are producing this change, who are committed to making this change. And finally, we focus on all beings. So, may I be well. May I be secure. May I be happy. May you be well. May you be secure. May you be happy. May we be well. May we be secure. May we be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be secure. May all beings be happy. Look forward to you joining me next time. Don't be shy about sharing these videos with others. That's the only way the word is going to spread. I look forward to talking with you, and